Hello and welcome to Critic Interviews, my show where I get in MLP analysts, reviewers, and other such titles, and I ask them questions and they answer them. This is a sort of special episode because I have two people of the same name. First off, I have Quilled who will be my co-host for this
Hello.
interview. Yes. And my guest this time is the widely known hippogriff Silver Quill.
I was told there would be snacks.
We lied.
What treachery!
It was his idea, I swear.
There will be vengeance. I will post nasty Twitter posts. Note to self: get a
Oh,
Twitter
the
post.
horror. Not the Twitter. Not the Twitter.
Yes, I'll put the twit in Twitter.
We have been undone.
The first
Alrighty.
bird to ever tweet on Twitter. Uh, okay, so first question. Let's get on with it, shall we? First question. How did you become a brony? How did you get into My Little Pony?
Well, this was about 2011. Season 2 was just about to start up, but I didn't know that. I was working at a downtown job, confidentiality, I can't really say what, but it involved people who were not having good days. You never saw people at their best. So it was demanding work. And when I get home, I'd unwind by watching web cartoons, Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, Red versus Blue, and they were all making My Little Pony references. And I thought, My Little Pony, that's the show I didn't watch in the 80s because Transformers was on.
Hmm.
So after learning a little bit more about it and watching CR's Pony retrospective review on that comic last season,
Someone else who started watching the show because of CR.
exactly. I decided, you know what, I could use something just a little fun, lighten the mood. So I gave it a look. And I would watch like 2, maybe 3 episodes a night for a couple weeks. And the truth is, I didn't really consider myself a brony until season 1 rather, was about done. And I thought, you know what? I have been consistently entertained by this. This is really well done. And Fluttershy was my fave.
Well, that
Dragon
makes
Shy
two
for the
of us
win.
then.
So yeah, I start. But what really sealed the deal was when I would hop online and I would look around for, what are people doing with this? And the wealth of creative work online. I've been an otaku for many years beforehand, and I can say even something like Sailor Moon, with all the time it's had, that's one of the few things that's produced more quality and content. But in terms of lifespan, the Brony fandom is just explosive.
What is your whole opinion on the brony phenomenon, the brony culture, as it is?
In some ways, it's impressive that people aren't letting labels or social stigmas about gender control how they act. No one's getting hung up on, oh, I shouldn't watch this because it's a little girl show. This is a good show. It entertains a lot of ages. And so that's really what I think people need to focus on. People from outside the fandom will try to use that as ammunition, but it's such a hollow argument. When you say, oh, this show's for girls, you shouldn't watch it, what you're really saying is, someone told me what I can and can't watch, and I'm not thinking for myself, and neither can you, which is a very disappointing trend. I'm all for questioning your own worldview and evolving based on your own choices. At the same time, bronies, we present ourselves as this radical new thing. Many of the elements of other fandoms I've seen, Trekkies, anime fans, Star Wars fans, they're there.
Whovians.
Yeah, Whovians. Oh, yes, the Whovians must be in high form after yesterday's premiere.
Yes, quite.
But
Totally not into that or anything. Continue.
I totally didn't go to see it in the theater or anything.
I totally won't go tomorrow. But every fandom has arguments, it has flame wars, it has fans who are perhaps overly aggressive in promoting it. That part remains consistent across any fandom.
Indeed.
And in a weird way, that's sometimes the common ground people can see with any fandom. It's why I joke about John Delancey bridging the gap between bronies and Trekkies. But truthfully, you could just go up to a Trekkie and say, "Hey, you have flame wars, so do we. Aren't those guys crazy?"
Indeed.
So really, the fandom's faults can be something that brings fandoms together.
Ironically, it's a sad comment but usually with people in general, the common ground we find is what about the more frustrating aspects.
Indeed.
It's a like I say, it's a conversation starter.
It's definitely true. Well, to kind of segue away from that a bit, of all the episodes that you've seen thus far in the show over the last 4 seasons, which would you consider to be your favorite, or which one have you enjoyed the most, and why would that be?
No question, the Sisterhood of Social. It is it is my favorite episode. Flight to the Finish nearly dethroned it, but it still ekes out ahead.
Right.
I love it because, one, it was unique in that it was one of the very few that didn't feature Twilight. And that's not to say I don't like Twilight.
That's fair. Yeah.
I just it stands out more for that very rare event.
Mm.
It didn't rely on heavy contrivances in the plot or big external threats. Instead, it was very character driven. It showed not only Rarity and Sweetie Belle having this great sister dynamic, but also Applejack and Apple Bloom in a mentor and support role. So everybody came out of it looking good. And at the first half of the episode, I was sympathizing with Sweetie Belle because she just wants to be with her sister. And then I'm sympathizing with Rarity in the second half because she wants to mend the gap. And it's great to have an episode where no one's coming off as negative. Because I do like these characters. I don't want to root against them.
It's very interesting.
Continuing with the trend of favorites, who's your favorite character in My Little Pony and why? Remember, it can be any character, not just the main six.
Well, my favorite is still the main six, Fluttershy. She reminds me a lot of myself when I was younger. Very timid, very reserved and quiet, not eager for social situations. And so when I see her struggle, and more than any character of the main six, I define her by her struggle. You know, everyone will say, "Oh, kindness, elements of harmony." I would say struggle. When she has to do an uphill battle, it comes across stronger than anyone. It feels like she's got the furthest to climb. And so when she reaches the top of that mountain, even if it's just a short one and she has to go back down in the next episode, there's this great sense of triumph to it. Hurricane Fluttershy being her best episode, in my view.
All right. Now, before we deviate too much from the favorite character question, do you have anything to say to people who would bring up the argument that Fluttershy is just dealing with the same problem over and over again and doesn't actually have any genuine progression to her?
Well, I wouldn't agree on the lack of genuine progression. Pointing to testing 1, 2, 3, she showed plenty of assertiveness in getting Rainbow and Twilight to stop fighting. Juxtapose that against season 1 Fluttershy, who could barely work up her voice or get noticed. I do think there is genuine progression. It is true that she faces the challenge of being shy and socially awkward in many of her episodes. But that's part of why I like her. This is not a one and done issue. It is a part of her. It is a part of her mental process. It's part of her life. And you don't get over that with just one setting.
Yes!
Good answer.
Fluttershy's
Good answer. I'm clearly outnumbered here. Alrighty. Okay, so is there any character, main six or otherwise, that you would like to see get a bit more character development in the upcoming season?
Everyone except the main six? No. No, my greatest, after 4 seasons of this, I adore the main six, but I feel like the show is now limiting itself with this clique.
Mm.
These six great friends, they do a lot together, but there are times where I feel like, you could get the rest of the town in on this project. You could look to a specialist pony in this area for help. It feels like the rest of the world is just a spectator rather than a place these characters live in. Now, if I narrowed it down to individual characters, it would probably be Shiny Armor. Uh,
Ah.
Yeah,
drives me,
that's an interesting choice.
oh, the guy drives me nuts. Twilight told us, literally told the audience that he's the greatest brother ever.
Well,
Now,
after failing to mention him for like 3 seasons, but yeah.
I could actually forgive that. People have made the argument, oh, I have friends who have siblings that I didn't know about for years, and that's actually true for myself as well.
Okay.
But the thing is, when she tells us that this guy's the greatest brother ever, he invites her to his wedding a day before and by form letter. And he doesn't even greet her at the station. In fact, I don't think he's greeted her at the train station once. Everything
Very
I see
true.
about this guy contradicts that greatest big brother
Mm.
presentation. He's actually rather neglective of her. And so
Very interesting point.
much like the IDW comics, which I think do a better job with his character,
Mm.
I just love to see an episode where he gets to work with Twilight and they tackle the problem as equals, not him being, pardon my language, but a dumbass in distress for her to rescue.
I think he came to greet her at the train station in the Crystal Empire, but I'd have to go
Not
back and watch that episode.
quite. They'd been walking for a little while before he finally showed up.
Ah,
And
right.
he was there under orders. You have to have Celestia tell him, go be a big brother. Plus, the alternative is meet her at the train station or she'll die.
I guess that is one heck of an ultimatum. Uh, uh, moving away from the, well, not completely moving away from the show, but into more the reviewing side of things about your channel. Your channel has gotten a lot of success ever since you started reviewing in the relatively short time you've been a part of the reviewing community. And well, obviously a large subscriber count and all that comes with a lot of pressure. Is that something that has ever become a problem for you?
Oh, it is. I'm constantly aware of, oh, I've got to get this next video out. I'm behind on these season reviews. Um, but there's the balance of, real life and online life. Oh, that's a strange term. Real life makes it sound like I'm just dreaming this right now.
Well, maybe you are.
No, I'm wearing clothing, so it's not one of those dreams. I showed up to the interview naked. But there is a pressure. People have invested in my reviews. They've given all support. I want to produce a high quality content. But unfortunately, the trade off to that is that it takes time. So I also have to beg people's patience.
Well, okay, you might have answered this a little bit in the previous answer, but to you, what is the most important aspect of reviewing or being a reviewer on YouTube?
Perspective more than anything. A lot of my favorite critics are renowned for their meltdowns. The nostalgia critic and his unique scream, or Angry Joe, it's in
Mm.
the name.
Indeed.
Hashtag Spoonie hates everything. But the funny thing is, those are rare events. They stand out because they're not doing it constantly.
Right.
Uh, when a game or a movie does something good, even if they don't like the overall package, they'll say, "Yeah, this is a really good part of that. More of this, please." And I think, and I want to carry that forward to my own reviews. That yeah, there are parts of an episode that I don't enjoy. Cancelot Wedding, I could point out the multitude of frustrations I have with it, but I will sing the praises of the changeling invasion and even that that scene where Cadence is hugging the brainwashed shining armor really does tug at the heartstrings.
Mm.
And I think the pitfall that a lot of reviewers fall into is that they get so energized talking about one part of the show that they didn't like that they forget to mention the rest of the episode.
Right.
And I find that anger and negativity are a great gimmick to draw people's attention, but it will not hold them.
Well, personally, as a reviewer, I try to be as balanced as I possibly can, but I'm not sure that always comes across sometimes.
Well, the funny thing is, we all take note of when someone is really ticked off about something. When we notice when someone is shouting from the rooftops about how bad this idea was.
Like at your service.
That's back at your service, arguably his weakest episode.
That is my
Yes.
least favorite episode of all time. And
If
everyone
the
who's
critics ever
everyone
had an
who
angry moment, it was that.
everyone who watches my videos will know that for sure. I've done 2 reviews on it, so anyway, next question. What motivates you to review / analyze My Little Pony, and what actually made you want to start becoming more involved in the YouTube community?
Well, what makes me is that just sort of a sense of fun. It's fun to look at this show and almost. You guys watch Mystery Science Theater at some point, I hope.
Yes.
No.
What?
Oh, you're missing
tragedy.
out.
Riff Tracks? Have you watched the Riff Tracks of the movie?
No.
No. My heart, it breaks.
It's bucket list.
Okay, well, just to sum it up, it was a show where they watched bad movies, though they've expanded now to good movies, where they had just sort of this running commentary, comedic asides based on the scenes. And I have fun, even though I'm trying to give my honest opinion of the episode, I'm also trying to poke a little fun and just lighten the mood with it.
Mm.
So, in many ways, the entertainment aspect is on par or perhaps even a little bit ahead of the review aspect. What got me started was the whole Princess Twilight debacle. And I will call it a debacle because even if it worked out in the end, which, by the way, it's not the end yet, everyone, for 9 months, I would browse the internet and I would see images for it, I would see images against it, I'd see people starting up arguments. And after a while, I got frustrated because it felt like everyone was shouting at one another, but nobody sat down and said, here's the possibility for success, here's the possibility for failure, that's what to watch out for. So I said, okay, I'll do it. I've worked in video before, and I've had the benefit of anonymity to do some prep work beforehand. It was actually many weeks of drawing my character before I even started editing the video. And thank goodness I got it done before the season 4 premiere. But mostly I just wanted to try and offer a little mediation in a very polarizing topic.
Indeed. Okay, trusting that my internet didn't cut out on me there. Let's depart a bit from the discussion of your YouTube career for a bit. Critic and I really enjoy some of your work on DeviantArt, especially your recently concluded comic strip, A Princess's Tears. What inspired you to create that particular story?
Well, once again, it came down to Princess Twilight, and I'm like, Clutterstep, my character, had been in my head for pretty much since I really started thinking of myself as a brony. He's a desire for a enjoyable male character in the show. No disrespect to Spike, but for the first season, I wasn't as big a fan of him. He's grown on me since then.
Yeah.
But I was hoping for a strong male pony to be a part of the world and just someone to cheer for.
I see.
So I came up with this character, and then Twilight became an Alicorn princess, and I kind of love the idea of an Earth pony who's not terribly coordinated or skilled falling for the most magical unicorn. Well, now she's an Alicorn with a title. Do I need to torpedo that? And I thought about what Clutterstep means to me, what he's supposed to represent. And I said, no, this is actually good for him. this is a chance for him to show quality of character has meaning, even if he can be supportive of the newest royal. So I started working on what I thought was going to be a 12-piece comic, and spoiler warning, it's not 12 pieces. But it kept going and building, and was very not only proud of the final work because I wasn't sure this was something I could even finish, but it was very well received by folks, and that was a great affirmation.
Very well deserved too. I mean, I probably wouldn't know that you existed at all if that comic had not existed. And I discovered it really early on, and when I was still kind of not sure if I was into the pony thing or not. And well, yeah, it really kind of shaped my experience in a way. So, perks on that.
Oh, thank you. Also, high praise. And hopefully, I didn't really set out with the intent to prove that OCs could be interesting characters. I will defeat the critics. I just was doing what I wanted, how I wanted to express it. And it's kind of funny. I'm going on a small tangent here. You ever read an art book where it says like Picasso defied traditionalism and invented a whole new genre?
Yep.
It sounds like I'm comparing myself to Picasso Nonsense, but I don't think anyone wakes up in the morning and says, I will defy convention and start a new cultural trend, and then I'll have breakfast. I think
fair.
they just did what they thought was right, their own form of expression, and it worked, and people wanted to emulate or to learn from the experience. And so, before we put the great artists on too high a pedestal, a la Daring Don't, there's something to be said for just do what you want as a creative personality and see where it leads you.
Very interesting.
But I'm nowhere near Picasso. I will freely admit that.
That's purely subjective, I'm sure.
Okay, so I've been worrying about this question the entire time of the interview. Could you possibly share with us a bit about your future plans for the storyline? Like what's in store for Clutterstep next?
Clutterstep. Well, I'm gonna be starting a new comic in October, where Clutterstep will be actually, through very unhappy circumstances, will be flung far from Equestria and has to make his way back. So it's a chance to, partly because I wanted to say, what has he been up to while season 4 was going on? Because I guess I will spoil this much. It's very important that he not be in Equestria during Tyric's reign of terror. Because if
intriguing.
Because if he loses magic, he is kaput for good. So can't have that. And I'm looking forward to introducing a mentor figure for Clutterstep. I feel like his character needs a push from an authority figure to get him on the road to overcoming his own doubt and cynicism.
Okay. Very intriguing.
Yeah. But I don't want to say too much. I'll also go in a little more into his history with Celestia.
Okay. Very cool. I'm all excited, darn it.
Well, believe me, August is speeding by. We'll be hitting October before you know it.
Brilliant. I look forward to it.
Lord, September. September is always a month of, oh my God! Gotta get this done.
Well, that's all the questions that I have written down. Is there anything else you want to say, Quill? Both of you?
Quill or Quilled? How do you like it?
I like it.
It's very good to hear.
Actually, I think Quilled had the Silver Quill title first. I just, I'm afraid I may have usurped the title, but I'm hanging on to it now.
Well, you took it and you did something great with it, so I really can't fault you for anything. Meanwhile, I was just sitting on the sidelines, kind of too afraid to get into anything. And so, yeah, I'm going to let you keep it. Don't worry about it.
Much appreciated. But don't So you were just on the sidelines. I was a brony for a long time, and I built up to this. My first comic was not very good. It was pretty much forgotten. And it wasn't until, how did I describe this? Well, actually, this is kind of a fun tale. First comic I ever submitted to Equestria Daily. It was Always a Bridesmaid. Early comic on my DeviantArt page, and it wasn't very good. First time drawing ponies, really.
Okay.
Did it in Photoshop, tried to make templates, and I'll tell you right now, I think Adobe Illustrator or Inkscape is the better program for ponies.
Okay.
But I sent it in. The season 2 finale happened. I never heard back. I never saw anything. It's like, okay, it didn't work. And looking at what did get on the site, it's like, yeah, they deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
So for our next comic, I didn't even submit it to Equestria Daily. I just said, I need to get better at this. I sketched, I drew. Looking back on it now, the artwork still isn't that great. But Just Desserts went up. And one morning I get up, it's about time to go to work, but I hop online just to see if anyone commented over the night. And my activity count had gone from about 90 to 1,000 in the night. I was like, what? Did I log into the wrong account? And I realized that as I hit the refresh button, the numbers were going up visibly. I mean, not like a timer, but every time you hit the refresh button, you've gained like 20 activity notices. Someone had submitted it to Equestria Daily, and it got on. I was like, whoa. And that's what I sort of learned. People recognize efforts. The goal is not, in a weird way, your goal is not to get featured on Equestria Daily. If your goal is to put forth quality product, it will find its way to Equestria Daily and the larger community.
I can only dream of having something on Equestria Daily.
Well, that's the goal is always to have your next review or video be better than the last.
Indeed.
And that way you don't look to Equestria Daily as a validation, just the sense that you are making progress. Because even before I posted the comment, I was like, yeah, this looks better than the last one. And that's something to be proud of.
Okay.
Thank you for those incredibly inspirational words.
We try.
And I'm not saying that sarcastically or anything. I genuinely mean it. But yeah, awesome.
All right. Well, that's the thing done with. Thank you for joining me on the interview, Silver Quill, Quilled Ink, both of you. All right. Well, I'm the Ponyville Critic.
Well, I'm Silver Quill, the man, the myth, the hippogriff.
And I'm Quilled Ink.
Thank you for listening.